Welcome to installing Kali from scratch, video 3. Doing an install of Kali, whether it now be on an actual machine or a virtual machine, it is time consuming. Everything needs to be configured, and not having the knowledge on a Linux system, the installation might be daunting. For example, in Linux we've got different naming conventions for hard drives. We talk about setting up swap files and so forth. I will show you an easy way around this, but it still doesn't make it very easy for non-Linux users. Let me show you what I mean with this. In this demo, we will download and install VirtualBox if you haven't done so already in the first video. If you have, sit back and relax on this one. I will show you where to download the ISO that we need to run for the virtual machine, and we will do the actual install. Here is a list of where you can get those things, or you can just Google them. Again, if you haven't done this in the previous video, all you need to do is go and Google VirtualBox, select the first link, and select your Windows hosts. Unless you're running a Linux distribution, you're going to select Windows. Download that and install. The install is plain and simple. You're just going to next all the way to finish. From there, you're going to go to the Kali download. You're going to select your first link, and over here, you just need to check whether you have a 64 or a 32-bit machine. For 32-bit, you can either HTTP or torrent, and for the 64-bit, down at the bottom, you can either HTTP or torrent. I've already done that download, so pause the video now and start your downloads. Now that you've done your downloads, open up Oracle VirtualBox, and once that's open, select New. On this block that opens up, you just need to give your system a name. I'm going to call mine Linux Base. Type is going to remain Linux, and version is going to be Debian. You're going to next on there, and you're going to allocate it RAM. Because I'm going to be using the preloaded Kali, I'm only going to give it 2 gigs RAM. Over here, you need to create a new hard drive. You can select the drive that you want. I normally prefer using the VHDs, and you're going to leave your size on dynamic. Should you decide to use this as your actual install, I suggest you leave it on dynamic, because as your disk grows, your actual hard drive will decrease. What I mean with that is your C drive will decrease and your virtual drive will increase. On this screen, I'm just going to allocate it 50 gig. Please bear in mind that if you don't use that 50 gig, it is not going to be utilized from your actual hard drive, and you're going to select Create. Once the machine is created, start up that base machine. Over here, you just need to select Choose Virtual Disk. That's where you've stored the ISO image, and you're going to hit Start. On this screen over here, we're just going to go down a bit to Graphic Install. You're going to hit Enter, and you're just going to wait for it to start up. Once started up, it will look like this. Select your language and continue. Select your location and continue. Select your keyboard configuration and continue, and wait for it to continue to load. Please take note that I am pausing the video as I'm going, otherwise we're going to be sitting here for a very long time watching my screen. Speaking of screen, on this screen, all you're going to do is you're going to give it a host name. I'm just going to be boring tonight and keep mine on Kali. You're going to continue, and on the next one, we don't have an actual domain yet, so we're not going to add any information over there. Just hit continue. Over here, all you need to do is you need to give your system a password. I'm using the same password as the other machine, just so that I don't get confused with all these passwords. As you can see, it is root backwards. And we're going to hit continue. Right, now this screen that you have in front of you now, we are going to select the guided use entire disk. You can go for using the entire disk with LVM or encrypted LVM. That sort of just keeps your drives more secure, if I can say it like that. But bear in mind that it is a very, very long install. I'm going to leave mine as is and hit continue. We want to select the 50 gig hard drive that we allocated when we created the virtual machine. Again, hit continue. And this was what I meant with, if you're not a Linux user or if you don't know Linux that well, I would suggest keeping it on the recommended for new users. If I can try and explain this in an easier way to understand, I want you to imagine that you have got 2 hard drives on your actual machine. And basically, your C drive is where your install files and everything for Windows is, and your D drive is where your storage is. Now that's sort of similar to what we're doing here. If you say separate home var temp partitions, you are creating that C drive, D drive, and E drive, if I can call it that. So leave it as is and hit continue. Should you have any changes that you want to make, do it now, because you won't be able to change it afterwards. We've done everything right, so just hit continue. Do you want to write these changes to the disk? Yes, I do. And continue, and wait for it to start partitioning your disk. Once the install is complete, I will resume the video. On your next screen, user network mirror, you're going to select no, continue, and next up, we want to install the Grub bootloader. Now, this is sort of like the MBR on Microsoft as well. Continue. With your Grub bootloader, you want to select Dev SDA. That is the hard drive that you created earlier on. Continue and wait for the install to finish. The install is almost done. The only thing you need to do now is hit continue. Awesome stuff. Okay, so guys, I hope you realize that these installations, like I said earlier, it can take a good amount of time to get installed. That is why I prefer using the pre-built images. But if you prefer it this way, not a problem. I hope you enjoyed it. In the next one, updating, downloading, and installing apps.